We have a disease. It is a new round. It is a new day in the American workforce. And unions, which have long been just kind of part of the deal, but they've kind of been in their classic areas. Now unions, all these young people, they want to be a part of a union. I want to stick it to the man. But as I've posited before on the show, and I'm going to prove it again today, when unions band together under the sole purpose of doing what's good for us, the worker, they end up screwing themselves and screwing you, the customer. And I'll explain it. I'm feeling salty today. I'm feeling salty. Here we go. Staffers walk out on the New York Times in the amount of 1,100 New York Times staffers walked out last week because they said that contract negotiations had stalled. Now, this is more than 1,400. So 1,100 walked out. I don't know why we got two different numbers here. But nonetheless, 1,100 to 1,400 staffers are affected by this walkout. That's what it is. And they are business and editorial staffers at the New York Times. Around 80% of the union members work in the newsroom. In a statement, the New York Times spokesperson argued that the talks are still ongoing and that two sides are not deadlocked, and said it is disappointing that they, and these are the 1,100 that walked out, are taking such an extreme action when we are not at an impasse. So you've got management saying, we're not at an impasse. We've not walked away. They just decided to go the nuclear option and walk out. So obviously the big sticking point is wage increases. Okay. This is a common theme. And the tensions have grown between the labor unions and the news management team in the wake of the pandemic. And we're seeing this, again, not just in the New York Times, but in other industries. Okay. This morning, okay, I hear a story this morning on the news that the state of California has legislation that is coming up for vote, and they will implement it. It will make it law. If the bill passes, it will make it a law in the state of California that mandates a $22 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers. Okay, now this is the fast food union in California. Okay, and they're driving this. And so if this passes, all right, the minimum wage for fast food workers will be $22 an hour. Now, if you just leave it at that, that sounds great, right? You go, great. I mean, fantastic. I mean, that's what it looks like. Oh, great. That's nice. The person in the back flipping burgers is now going to make $22 an hour. Bravo! Hip, hip, hooray! Woohoo! It's great. Is it? Because watch what happens. This is the mandate. Okay, what happens? All right, now, economists in the state of California have said that if this legislation goes through, that fast food prices will go up between 22 and 25%. Now, some of you are still going, it doesn't matter, Ken. I'll pay 22 to 25% more in my combo because I want that person in the back to make $22 an hour. What's wrong with you, you heartless capitalist pig? Or whatever you might say. I don't care what you say. But I'm just telling you, it goes up for everybody. By the way, rich people, really wealthy people aren't going to Burger King. And I'm not making this up. Go look at the data. So now all of a sudden, we've increased cost by 20%, 22%. Now you say, who's the bad guy in this scenario? Well, I guess it's Burger King or Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever who decides to raise cost. But they want to make a profit. So now you get the big bad profiteers. But I'm just telling you how this is going to go down. So then people in California who go to fast food restaurants, their costs will go up extremely. Now, let's keep playing this out. So then you got these big corporations, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and I'm just naming, you name all the fast food, okay? So then they go, wait a second. The law says that I have to pay a minimum wage of $22 an hour. When if I look at my margins and what we should be paying out and what we would do under normal circumstances, all of a sudden, I'm paying $8. I'm making this up. $8 more, $7 more, $6 more an hour. My costs are going to go through the roof. Guess what happens next, Alex? Automation. Okay. Now let's keep playing this out. For those of you early adopters, you go, this is really cool. By the way, I've seen the McDonald's, which is about 3 blocks off of Times Square in New York, and you don't see one human in there other than customers. There are chefs in the back cooking. There are people in the back cooking. But that's it. Everything is automated. After that burger gets loaded in the chute, there are no people in this McDonald's. I've seen it with my own eyes. So what happens is, watch. I hope you folks understand I'm not a heartless capitalist. I'm playing the numbers out. So you know what happens? The very people that pushed for legislation to raise their minimum wage are the very people that are going to get hurt by this. You union members in California, you've been duped. You've been lied to by your union leaders. It's all about them lining their pockets. And guess what? Are they going to be there for you when the fast food places go, sorry, we're cutting jobs by 20%? You could pass a law all you want to about the minimum wage, but a company does not have to hire you. And that's what they're going to do. Because I'm telling you, some brilliant person and brilliant company out there is going to go, okay, so you would be mandated by California law to pay this worker and these workers $22 an hour. Our technology is going to come in and it's going to end up costing you $18 an hour. What do you think the company's going to do? And I'm making these numbers up, but that's what's going to happen. So, quick review. When unions get involved and drive up their wages, who loses? Oh, thank you for asking me. I'm going to do a quick review, kids. Alex, this is where I need my whiteboard. First people that lose, you, the consumer, your costs go up. Inflation. Are we paying attention, kids? Inflation. Okay, so your household costs, everything goes up. Number 2, who loses? The very people who are trying to get the raise because they're going to get replaced by automation. 2 people lose, the consumer and the worker. Well, wait a second. It was supposed to help the worker. Yeah, but it's not going to help the worker because they're never going to ever taste $22 an hour. So it hurts the consumer and it hurts the worker. This is what unions are for? Wait a second, unions. You're about driving prices up? You're about hurting the long-term viability of your members? Methinks me needs new leaders. This is what's wrong with unions, folks. Unions become about politics and infighting and pushing for a political agenda, and their policies do not work. I'm just keeping it straight. If you don't like it, put it in your pipe and smoke it and come up with your own economic formula and see if it actually squares in Main Street and in your pocketbook. It doesn't.